Hi there, and welcome to the Lady Macbeth episode of Studyclix Explains Macbeth, where Studyclix expert teacher Peter Tobin brings you through everything you need to know about her and her role in this play. Peter Tobin is an English teacher who has a YouTube channel called Mr. Tobin Leaving Cert English, where you can find a whole bunch of free videos covering different parts of the Leaving Cert English course. He also has things like downloadable worksheets and note grids, so it's well worth checking him out and subscribing to his channel to get updates on new content he's making. In this Lady Macbeth episode of the podcast series, you learn about different interpretations of her character, as well as the importance of understanding how her character would be perceived by an audience watching this during Shakespeare's time, when women were treated very differently. The next voice you're going to hear is Peter's. Enjoy listening.
Hi everyone, welcome back. So again, at Leaving Cert, it's always important to be able to offer alternative interpretations of the play, the characters within it, and also to be able to show how those characters change over the course of the play. Now, Lady Macbeth is a great character for evidencing all of these, and in this video, we're going to look at some ways of doing exactly that. So like her husband, there are multiple ways of interpreting the character of Lady Macbeth. She changes over the course of the play from her presentation in Act 1 as a fiercely malevolent force, intent on convincing her husband to do her bidding no matter what the consequences, to a broken and defeated woman in Act 5 who is tortured by her own guilt and her inability to have peace of mind. Again, just like with the character of Macbeth, the underlying message from Shakespeare may be about the dangers of ambition. She is reduced from a seemingly powerful character to a shadow in the space of 5 acts. In Ted's Chronicles, the source material for the play, there's a reference to an ambition-crazed queen who Shakespeare no doubt based his Lady Macbeth on. If Macbeth is in any doubt about whether or not he should proceed with the plan to kill Duncan, Lady Macbeth doesn't flinch for a second. From the moment she reads her husband's letter in Act 1, Scene 5, regarding the prophecy, she is hell-bent on seeing it through. So we can assume then that Lady Macbeth is just as ambitious as her husband is. Considering the restrictions that many women faced in Elizabethan times, and considering further that the play is set in the 11th century, it's clear that Lady Macbeth needs her husband in order to realise her own ambitions of being queen. She is, in a sense, using him to fulfil her own desires. This contributes to the idea that Lady Macbeth is a powerful character. She dominates her husband in a wholly subversive way, and it goes against much of what we know about gender roles in Elizabethan and Jacobean England. Even for Lady Macbeth to have the desire to be queen recognises her not simply as a woman or a wife, but as an individual with desires and ambitions of her own. As a small but significant aside, approximately 90% of all women in Shakespeare's time were illiterate, yet Lady Macbeth is not. Our very first introduction to her sees her reading a letter. Granted, she is a high-born character, but it's significant nonetheless. Another point is that when Macbeth speaks to his wife, he uses phrases such as dearest partner and dearest Chuck, whereas when she speaks to him, she refers to his titles, worthy Cawdor. Perhaps Lady Macbeth is simply a scheming character who is using whatever is at her disposal in order to achieve what she most desperately craves, the crown, and the power that comes with it. But another way of looking at Lady Macbeth is to consider as not powerful at all, that Shakespeare is actually depicting Lady Macbeth as weak and powerless and typical of a woman of her time. Lady Macbeth is ambitious, but she needs the help and support of the forces of darkness in order to carry out her plan. Following the killing, she is terrified. Perhaps this scene is a true picture of Lady Macbeth, as it is the one that we see in Act 5 also when she is sleepwalking. She has become a mere shadow of herself. In many ways, she has faded into insignificance. An important difference between Lady Macbeth and her husband is that Macbeth considers the consequences of his actions. He goes into the act of murder aware of what may come from it. He has also realised almost immediately that he has destroyed his own conscience after the murder, and he appears to embrace that fact. Whatever we think of Macbeth for his actions, we can't say that he is naive or blind to what he is doing. Lady Macbeth, on the other hand, believes that a little water clears us of this deed, that somehow the act of murder can be washed away. She says, how easy it is then. To Lady Macbeth, she believes that this murder is easy and straightforward because it will deliver to her what it is that she craves, power. She does not think of the consequences. She has no experience of violence and murder, as her husband does, from the battlefield, and she hasn't thought things through, as her husband has done. In this light, we don't see Shakespeare's portrayal of Lady Macbeth as a strong, powerful character, but in fact as a weak and naive character who doesn't really understand the full consequences of her actions. She doesn't understand anything, really, until later in the play, although there is some acknowledgement of what they've done when she admits that she couldn't carry out the murder herself, saying that if Duncan hadn't reminded her of her own father as he slept, I had done it. We can see Shakespeare's portrayal of Lady Macbeth in one sense as subverting feminine stereotypes of the Jacobean era, but also, in a contradictory way, sort of reaffirming them. She doesn't think rationally and logically about the consequences of their actions, and her mad grab for power ends up destroying her and reducing her to a caricature of female helplessness in Act 5. Significantly, we see another parallel between Act 1 and Scene 5 and Act 5, Scene 1, when Lady Macbeth goes from encouraging the spirits of darkness to being afraid of the dark. The gentlewoman, the nurse, in Act 5, Scene 1, confirms that Lady Macbeth has light by her all through the night. 'Tis her command. In Act 1, Scene 5, Lady Macbeth demands to be unsexed by the spirits. There's an acknowledgement here that her feminine qualities need to be removed before she can achieve her ambitions, perhaps emphasizing the idea that women are not naturally equipped with the faculties to be ambitious and achieve their desires. Also, despite the fact that she is technically no longer a lady, having been unsexed, she then deploys what we might consider feminine tricks to encourage her husband to murder Duncan. Many productions of this play depict her as being seductive and flirtatious, particularly in Act 1, Scene 7, when she eventually convinces Macbeth to carry out the murder. So, to finish then, there are multiple ways of seeing Lady Macbeth. She can be seen as an evil influence, a powerful manipulator, and someone who brings about all of the harm and damage in the play. Alternatively, we can see her as weak and powerless, someone who's desperate for power but because of her gender needs to use others to get it. Either way, it's clear that Lady Macbeth is a very interesting character to explore, primarily because of how she changes so dramatically over the course of the play, from Act 1 through to Act 5.
That concludes Peter's analysis on the character of Lady Macbeth. We hope this analysis has helped you gain a deeper understanding of her character and equipped you with ideas and phrases that you can use in your essays. Once again, if you enjoyed this episode, we would really encourage you to check out Peter's YouTube channel, Mr. Tobin Leaving Cert English, which is linked in this episode's description. Trust us when we say this is an incredible free resource for 5th and 6th year students. And we hope you stay tuned for more content like this.